everyone, and welcome back to English Next Door. I'm Mia, your host, and my favorite guest is back.
Still favorite?
Still my only guest who lives 2 blocks away and shows up on time.
I show up early.
You showed up 12 minutes early today.
I was in the area.
You were doing your morning walk.
I was in the area.
Okay, everyone. Today we are talking about family. Who are they? What are they like? How do you describe them in English? The people who shaped you, who embarrass you, who call at the worst possible moment.
My mom called me during a work presentation last week.
Number.
Full screen. Projector. Mom calling. In front of my entire team at Dataflow.
What did you do?
I declined. She called back immediately.
Of course she did. Did your team see?
Everyone saw. My colleague Dave started clapping.
I love Dave. Okay, let's go. Basic vocabulary first. Family members in English. Tom, tell me about your family.
So I have my mom and dad. They live about 2 hours from the city. An older sister, Claire, and my grandparents on my mom's side are still around, which I'm really grateful for.
Lovely. Okay, everyone. Mom and dad. Very casual and British. American English says mom. Parents means both together. Older sister means she was born before Tom. Younger would be the opposite.
Claire is 3 years older than me. She never lets me forget it.
How does she remind you?
She calls herself the original and me the sequel.
Ha, that's actually good.
She's very proud of it.
What about grandparents? Do you see them often?
I try to visit every month or two. My grandma, she insists on being called Grandma, capital G, very official.
Capital G Grandma.
Capital G Grandma. She's in her 80s now. Every visit feels important, and she makes the best roast chicken in the world. Scientifically proven.
I would do anything to eat capital G Grandma's chicken.
You'd have to earn it. She gives everyone a task when they arrive. You either peel potatoes, set the table, or you don't eat.
I respect her so much.
She runs a tight ship.
Runs a tight ship. Everyone write that down. It means someone organizes things very strictly and efficiently. Very useful phrase. Okay, tell me more about your family. What are they actually like? Real descriptions.
My dad is very calm, quiet. He doesn't talk much, but when he says something, everyone pays attention. He could say 3 sentences at dinner, and somehow it's the most important thing said all evening.
The strong, silent type.
Completely. He's an engineer, retired now, very practical, fixes everything. Our house growing up had 0 broken things because Dad fixed everything immediately.
Meanwhile, my dad also fixes things, but first, he has to research it for 3 weeks.
Research?
He watches YouTube videos, he reads forums, he buys special tools, and then, usually, it works perfectly.
That's dedication.
Or procrastination disguised as preparation.
Ha! My mom is the complete opposite of my dad. She talks all the time, knows everyone, knows everything about everyone. She could tell you what the neighbor's cousin is doing for the holidays.
She sounds amazing.
She is. She also calls during presentations, but she means well.
What about Claire? You've mentioned her before. In the podcast episode we did about jobs, you mentioned she's very different from you.
Completely different. Claire is loud, dramatic, hilarious. Everything is either the best thing that ever happened or the worst day of her life. No middle ground.
We talked about this, like Sophie, but the opposite direction.
Exactly. Sophie has no extremes. Claire is nothing but extremes.
Last week, you mentioned she texted you about the coffee?
The oat milk was wrong and it ruined her morning. She recovered by lunch.
Devastating and inspiring. How's your relationship with her?
Really good. We're very different, but we get each other. She's protective of me. If anyone's ever rude to me, Claire takes it personally.
That's the best kind of sibling.
She also borrows money and forgets to pay it back, but that's a separate conversation.
A very relatable separate conversation. Okay, my turn. So, I'm an only child, no brothers or sisters.
We established this is both peaceful and occasionally unfair.
Exactly. Remember in the Making Plans episode, I said there's nobody to blame when something goes wrong? You have Claire as an alibi. I had nobody.
The sibling alibi problem.
Real and serious. Okay, so my mom. My mom is warm, creative, she loves art and cooking. Growing up, our house always had music playing and something in the oven. You walked in and immediately felt, okay, this is home.
That's a beautiful description.
She's also a worrier. Classic mom thing. She calls every day.
Every day?
Every day, sometimes twice. You know, I mentioned this last episode. She calls to check if I've eaten, if I'm warm enough, if I'm sleeping properly.
And you said you complain about it but also rely on it completely.
Both things are true. When she doesn't call, I get nervous something's wrong.
That's the most human thing I've heard.
We contain contradictions. Okay, my dad. Very different from my mom. Practical, logical, dry sense of humor. He says things completely seriously, and you're not sure if he's joking until about 3 seconds later.
The delayed laugh.
The delayed laugh. And he's already moved on by the time you get it.
That's a very specific kind of funny.
Very specific. Also, last episode, you said your dad fixes things. My dad gives practical gifts.
What kind of practical gifts?
For my last birthday, a flashlight.
A flashlight.
Waterproof, long battery life. He was very excited about it. Said, you never know when you'll need it.
And have you needed it?
Twice, which is absolutely infuriating.
The best gifts are the ones you don't expect to need.
He's always right. It's exhausting. Okay, family traditions. Tom, you mentioned your grandma's Sunday dinners. Tell everyone.
So growing up, every Sunday, the whole family at Grandma's house, non-negotiable. You peel potatoes or set the table, or you explain yourself.
Non-negotiable. Very important word, everyone. It means there is no other option. You cannot say no.
You cannot say no to capital G Grandma. It's not possible. And the menu never changes. Roast chicken, roast potatoes, vegetables. Same every week. Perfect every week.
Do you still do it?
Not every week now. We all live further apart. But Christmas, Easter, birthdays, and the menu never changes. One year, my uncle suggested adding a new dish.
What happened?
Grandma looked at him for a long moment and then said, very quietly, "The potatoes are fine."
The potatoes are fine. Case closed.
Case absolutely closed. My uncle never mentioned it again.
What's your family like at Christmas?
Loud, chaotic. Someone always argues about something small. Last year, it was whether the potatoes were crispy enough.
Were they?
They were perfect. But my uncle, the same uncle, had opinions.
Uncles always have opinions about food.
Universal law.
My family Christmas is very different. Just the three of us. Very cozy. Same food every year, movies, and then board games where my dad takes everything very seriously.
How seriously?
He reads the rules out loud, all of them, before every game, and corrects us during.
During Christmas?
During Christmas. Mia, you can't do that. See page 4. And then he loses, every time, to my mom, who wasn't listening during the rules explanation.
Your mom sounds incredible.
She wins on instinct. He studies for hours, and she just wins. First try.
That's almost poetic.
It's very them. Okay, real talk. Family can be wonderful and also drive you completely crazy. Tom, what does your family do that makes you a little bit insane?
My mom. Every single call. Without fail. After the normal questions, work, apartment, how am I, She always asks about my love life.
Every call?
Every single one. The sigh when I say nothing's changed, Mia. It's a very specific sigh.
Describe the sigh.
It's about 2 seconds long. It starts with hope and ends with acceptance, with a little bit of I'm not saying anything in the middle.
The disappointed but trying to hide it sigh.
And then she says, "You'll find someone," in a voice that suggests she's not completely sure.
Mothers are terrifying.
What does your mom do?
The advice. Constant, unsolicited advice. I'll start telling her something, and before I finish the sentence, she already has 3 solutions.
Is the advice good?
Usually, yes, which is the most annoying possible outcome.
The correct advice is the worst kind.
Because you can't even be annoyed. You know she's right. She knows you know she's right. You're both just sitting with that.
Also, Alex, my roommate, you've heard about him. He's tidy, respectful, perfect roommate situation. But his family visits sometimes.
And?
His family is very loud, very warm, very loving, but also just a lot of people suddenly in a 2-person apartment.
How many people?
Last time, 7.
7.
In a 2-bedroom apartment for a weekend.
Where did they sleep?
Everywhere. The sofa, the floor. I think someone slept in the kitchen.
The kitchen?
On a sleeping bag next to the table. He seemed fine with it.
That is either very cozy or a disaster.
A very cozy disaster. They were lovely people, just suddenly everywhere.
I had the opposite experience with my old roommate before I got my own apartment. She had friends over constantly without telling me. I'd come home and there'd be 5 people in my living room.
How did that make you feel?
Like a guest in my own home.
That's a very specific, awful feeling.
Very specific. That's actually why I got my own place. Best decision. Okay, vocabulary time. Useful phrases for describing family. Tom,
He's the quiet one. She's the funny one. He's the responsible one. She's the dramatic one.
in every family, everyone has a role. Claire is the dramatic one. Tom is the quiet observer. In my family, I think I'm the one who calls back after the second missed call.
What's your mom's role?
The one who's always right, but says it kindly.
And your dad?
The one who gives you a flashlight for your birthday and is absolutely correct about it.
How do you say you're close to someone?
We're really close. We talk all the time. She's my best friend, not just my sister. We have a great relationship.
And the opposite, when it's complicated?
We're not that close. We have a complicated relationship. We're very different people. Just saying it's complicated is enough in English. Nobody will push you.
It's a complete sentence.
It's a complete and respected sentence. Not every family is perfect. You don't owe anyone an explanation.
Both things can be true, from last episode. Applies here, too.
Completely applies. You can love someone and also find them exhausting. Both things are true.
You can miss someone and also need space. Both things are true.
Family is complicated and wonderful, often at the same time. Last thing, how do you talk about family in casual conversation? Like real life, when someone asks, "Do you have family nearby?"
You say something like, "Yeah, my parents are about 2 hours away. I try to see them once a month." That's it. Simple, natural, done.
Or, "My family's back home. It's about 4 hours. We do video calls a lot." Very real, very common.
Or the classic, "My mom calls every day so she never feels that far."
That one's very specific to my situation, but yes, very natural.
The key is you don't have to explain everything. You share what feels comfortable and stop there.
English conversations don't require the whole family biography on first mention.
How big is your family? Just me and my parents plus my gran. Done.
Perfect. Enough information, natural, easy. Key phrases from today, everyone. I have an older sister and 2 cousins. My dad is very calm and quiet, the strong, silent type. She's the funny one in the family. We're really close. It's complicated. Both things can be true.
She runs a tight ship. Non-negotiable. He's the responsible one. We have a great relationship.
And my personal favorite from today? The potatoes are fine.
The potatoes are always fine.
The potatoes are always fine. Subscribe to English Next Door on YouTube. New episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Real conversations, real English, real life.
Call your family.
Call your family, even when they call during presentations.
Especially then. They miss you.
That's so wholesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye, and hi to capital G Grandma if she's watching.
She's not watching a podcast, Tom.
You never know. She surprises people.
Does she?
She once fixed the Wi-Fi router herself. Nobody taught her.
Capital G Grandma can do anything.
Apparently.
Bye.
Goodbye.